Today we're gonna be reviewing Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Salazar's Revenge, or as it's known in the States, Dead Men Tell No Tales. I don't know why the titles are changed. It's kind of stupid. So Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Salazar's Revenge, aka Dead Men Tell No Tales, is a story about Henry Turner, the son of Will and Elizabeth Turner, who is just dead set on setting his cursed father free from the Flying Dutchman. I mean, I didn't know Will was cursed. I thought he was just charged with, you know, doing the role of Davy Jones because Davy Jones failed to do it. And since Davy Jones didn't do it, that's why Davy Jones was cursed. Anyway, it's also about a girl named Corinna who's a witch. But she's not a witch, she's an astrologer, and she has a notebook that leads to Poseidon's trident left from her estranged father. And so she wants to go and find it for reasons. It's also about Jack Sparrow, who, you know, decides to, you know, trade his compass for a bottle of rum, and this somehow releases Javier Bardem's character, Salazar, from this rock prison. And then it's also about Barbossa, who has a couple of ships destroyed by Javier Bardem's character, and he also wants the trident to control the oceans. I mean, if all of these people know about this trident, why haven't they gone years and years and years ago to go and find it? That's the first question. As the story progresses and you realize how long some of these characters would have known about this stupid trident, you're thinking, why didn't you just go and do it all those years ago? Basically, Pirates of the Caribbean 5 is a film that forgets its past, while also tries to conclude a story that really didn't need concluding. It's a very bloated film, and what I mean is that every scene just takes way too long to get through. Padded out with overly long action sequences, or it's padded out with remaining in one place for way too long because there's just not enough story to move these characters for a whole 2 hours and 33 minutes. I mean, they spend a huge chunk of this film in this place called St. Martin. It's this weird place where Jack is pulled off this huge bank heist where him and his pirate buddies literally heist the entire bank, and the horses are pulling the bank down the streets. There's a lot of annoyingly extravagant action in this film because it's so outrageous that it's not even enjoyable. It's cartoonish. Every action scene was an exaggerated mess of unbelievability. Whether that's at the end when the Black Pearl and Javier Bardem's ship are, you know, kind of running side by side and Jack is bouncing between the two by jumping on the cannons. You find yourself laughing at almost everything because it's so dumb. But at the same time, you're just horribly exhausted. Pirates 4 made me angry. Pirates 5 just exhausted me. And when I think back at Pirates 2 and 3, they too are very bloated and go on way too long and easily could have been condensed into one. What makes 2 and 3 work is you have characters that you're still interested in. Whereas with Pirates 5, I don't give a shit about anyone. There is no chemistry between any of these actors, even the returning actors. The character of Henry Turner, I mean, he's about as much fun as a dead fish. And this Corinna girl is about as much fun as watching Driftwood. And then with Salazar, I spend half the time trying to work out what the hell he's saying. Sparrow. Javier Bardem puts on this accent that you're just like, huh? And not only that, if you are a genuine fan of the pirate films, of the Pirates of the Caribbean, there are so many inconsistencies, whether that's like timeline inconsistencies or plot point inconsistencies. It's genuinely really frustrating. So I'm gonna get into spoilers from here on out. Let's talk about these inconsistencies. We learn the truth about who Corinna really is. She is the long-lost daughter of Barbossa. And apparently this journal that she's been reading is this old journal of Barbossa's. And then Jack and Barbossa have this conversation about her, and Jack somehow knows who the woman is that Barbossa slept with to produce this child. Hold the phone, because she's about the same age as Henry Turner. So she's what, early 20s or so? And in the film, they say that Pirates 4 took place 5 winters ago. So it's 5 years ago. Since Henry Turner is like 20, that means it's been 20 years since the end of Pirates 3. That means Barbossa would have had to have knocked up someone during Pirates 3. There wasn't any time for that. At the end of Pirates 3, him and Jack go separate ways, and they don't meet up until Pirates 4. 15 years later. The fact that they tried to make this Barbossa's daughter doesn't work. It doesn't fit with the timeline. The compass, Jack's compass that points to anything that you want, is somehow tied to Salazar's fate. And at one point, Jack trades the compass for a bottle of rum, and like the whole pub just starts shaking. And we go to a scene where Salazar is and all of his crew, and all of a sudden these rocks just start falling away around them, and they're suddenly free because Jack has traded the compass for something. Hang on. Jack is trading the compass all the time. He's giving it away every other second. It goes to like every single character. So why is it that now that he trades it for some rum that it suddenly frees Salazar? Did these filmmakers, like, did they not watch the first 3 films before they went and made this one? The other inconsistency, we have this flashback scene where Salazar recounts the time that Jack Sparrow cursed him. Javier's like, oh, I was the Spanish captain of this ship and we were killing pirates. And so he goes on and talks about how he's trying to kill all these pirate ships, and he's nearly done with his mission. And then there's one rogue ship, and that's where young Jack is. And the captain of that ship gives Jack the compass, and then Jack rallies the crew of that ship to maneuver it so that Salazar's crew goes into this cave where their ship blows up and curses them, but then they're somehow trapped in that cave once they're in there and cursed. For some reason, they just can't leave it. No real explanation as to why. And so Salazar is bent on this revenge on Jack Sparrow for trapping him and cursing him and his men in this cave. But then I was like, wait a minute, you guys didn't know each other. You didn't have any kind of like one-to-one fight. Jack shouted some stuff across the ocean at him, but you don't know who Jack is. You don't even know his name. How do you know that you're wanting revenge against Jack Sparrow? Explain this to me, movie, because you don't. I don't even recall, like, Jack's famous line, like, oh, this is the day that you almost da-da-da-da. Like, that would have been a perfect moment so that at least Salazar knows his name. That's a massive inconsistency, movie. That's a big one. One very bizarre thing about this movie is Salazar really isn't a bad guy. He was like doing the good stuff by stopping pirates. And the fact that we like Jack Sparrow is because he's more of an anti-hero. He's selfish, but to a point. He's not an evil person, he's just a misguided person. And so I found it really hard to dislike Salazar because I'm like, you kind of have been screwed. And so I think the film really missed a trick with that because, you know, this whole time Salazar's bent on wanting to get back to normal and lift this curse and also, you know, get revenge on the person who cursed him, that the film really could have had like a bit of a moral message, but it didn't. I mean, the other pirate films eventually get some sort of moral message, and eventually Jack learns something and does something a bit, you know, moral by the end. But with this, I mean, it isn't there. You know, Salazar and his mates get uncursed, and instead of doing something quite nice, Jack having a moment where he's like, shoot, you know, I kind of screwed, you know, Barbossa and all, you know, Barbossa and all of them were cursed, and that was really shitty for them. These guys have been cursed, and it looks like it's been pretty shitty for them. You know, now that they're uncursed and they're about to die, maybe I'll just save them. I'll try and do the good thing. They just let them all die. Jack doesn't get any kind of moral anything out of this film. Like, and I felt like this film horribly misunderstood who the character of Jack Sparrow is. It's more like a Jack Sparrow caricature. Also, other characters, like I said, Henry and Corinna they're boring. They're very, very boring. Boring people. This film just establishes nothing with him. Like, he wants to save his dad, and he's read some literature. About as deep as we go. And it's about the same with Corinna as well. At first, like, oh, you're a witch, we're gonna burn you and hang you and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, whatever. Don't really care. The opening of the film that connects all these characters together was stupidly convenient. There didn't really feel to be a mission of Henry Turner trying to find Jack. And then it just happens that they stumble upon this girl who happens to have this information about the Trident, who then also happens to be Barbossa's daughter. Convenient much? But also with Henry and Corinna, no chemistry, none. Like, it's there in the dialogue. Like, they try and do things, but those actors are so boring. And I don't know if it's just that they can't act, or if the director just can't direct. Because even Johnny Depp was terrible in this film. Like, he himself didn't feel like Jack Sparrow. It almost felt like they just did like one take of his Jack Sparrow antics and then moved on. And then of course the film does the most predictable thing that it could have done. Obviously, someone has to die. It's Barbossa. Again. And the fact that this film did it, and did it in a way that was trying to, like, force emotion by Barbossa, like, saving his daughter, but I don't really know what he was saving his daughter from. They were all climbing up the chain of the anchor, and Bardem's character and his men were following behind them, but they were following because they didn't want to get crushed by the water and die. And so Barbossa, for some reason, thinks that they're trying to still kill everyone, and he leaps down and stabs Bardem's character, and they all fall into the ocean and die. You just killed Barbossa, who was a terrific character played by a terrific actor, and I feel nothing. All for what? So that we can have a girl Barbossa now? Like, I do not want to see any adventures with Miss Barbossa and Mr. Turner. In a remarkable feat of vapidness, there are two characters that are just so empty. David Wenham is in this film as he's the new Norrington, you know? Suddenly he wants the trident as well because the British will rule the seas. But he's just cannon fodder. He's there to chase Jack around St. Martin, and he's there to chase Jack on the ocean up until Salazar comes into the picture, then Salazar kills him. You're dead. And you haven't even done anything. There's another character in this film who is an actual witch. Her name is Haifa? Haifaa. She looks crazy and cool, and you're kind of thinking, oh, is this like the new Tia Dalma? And she's pretty much gone in about half a second. You ain't talked about Will yet. What happens with where's Will? Yeah, where is Will? I'm sorry, but Orlando Bloom's role in this film is nothing more than a glorified cameo. He's probably on screen for less than 5 minutes. This is what frustrates me about this film oh so much, is the fact that, like I said, these people don't understand the film's history. So if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean 3, it's quite clear that, you know, the curse of Davy Jones is the fact that he wasn't doing the duty that Calypso bestowed upon him. That's why he became all fishy and tentacly. This film opens up when Will's son is like 10, so like not long after the post-credit scene of Pirates 3. In that post-credit scene, Will's not scaly, he's not fishy, but then in this scene, which, you know, like I said, takes place around that exact same time, Will's all scaly, and he's cursed, and he's all unhappy, and it's like, this doesn't match with Pirates 3 at all. Once they get to the end of the film and they break the curse of every single person who's been cursed on the ocean has been broken when they break Poseidon's trident. Henry goes back with Lady Barbossa and waits for his father on the shore, and, you know, sure enough, there comes Will, you know, looking like, you know, Backstreet's back, you know, and you're like, okay, Will's back, and he's like, how did you lift the curse? How did you do this? And he's like, I'll tell you, father, it's a great story. It's not a great story at all, it's a shit story. That was kind of dumb, because that's not really what was set up previously in the other films regarding the Flying Dutchman. And then there's one more little cameo where, you know, Keira Knightley, yes, Keira Knightley, comes up over the horizon, sees Will, and they run towards each other and embrace and kiss, as if the entire film has been about them. There's this little peck between Henry and Corinna at the end, but this main epic grand kiss with this huge billowing music is when these two characters kiss, and you're like, you haven't even been in the last 2 films, and we're supposed to give a shit about you, like, kissing here? But the real kicker is that Elizabeth doesn't speak. She has no speaking parts. She just kisses. She's just there to kiss. And she's also decked out in her, like, glamorous clothes. And I'm like, hang on. This is supposed to be the pirate island where she's the pirate king. She wasn't wearing crazy posh clothes when we last saw her. Honestly, this film is so dumb. And it's dumb because there's so many lazy inconsistencies. And it's nothing more than just a film for Disney to just try and make a quick buck on the name of Pirates of the Caribbean and on the name of Johnny Depp, as opposed to creating something that is unique and original and fun and engaging for kids and people of all ages. It's just an annoying piece of bloated fluff that needs to be put out to sea and sunk to the bottom of the ocean, never to come back. This is probably one of the most shallow films I have ever seen in my life. It is spectacularly awful. But tell me what you thought. Did you love it? Did you lap it up? Or did you want to spit it out by the end? Comment below and let me know.
Are all pirates this stupid?